just worked a 12-hour shift, so I'm a little bit delirious and crazy. But I promised David we would shoot a video. I told him I don't do porn anymore. Just kidding. We'll do food porn. Anyhow, so I have the vegetables washed. There's a few tricks to getting leafy greens to juice. Even with a cold press juicer, they don't really push all the way through. So I'm going to do a little bit. I'm not going to do the whole thing because you get the idea after a while. So you turn it on, take a handful of, this is baby spinach, and you kind of shove it down in there. And then you want to push something that's harder, like a carrot or a cucumber, or if you're using a zucchini, something like that, or a red beet. So then you just push a couple of the slices of cucumber down through there. And it'll eventually come out. And then you just keep alternating for as much spinach as you want to go through, or a leafy, whatever leafy green you're doing. And more cucumbers. And then I would keep doing this until I get as much as I want. If you're doing something like celery or carrots, you don't really want to just throw the whole thing down there, even though it would fit. It tends to jam the juicer up, and then you have to like reverse it, and stuff can come flying out at you. So you don't have to like chop it up real small, but in like 2 to 3 inch chunks, and then push that through. So I've hustled my son, once again, into recording for me. And he's just so happy about it. And no, neither one of my kids will drink juice. Right, Brady?
I'll drink juice. I drank that watermelon juice.
Oh, yes. And watermelon, as far as what to juice, a watermelon, a half of a regular size oblong watermelon, you will get over 64 ounces, almost close to 80 ounces out of a watermelon. You get almost no pulp because, hence the name, it's a watermelon. You get a ton of juice out of it. So that's one of the better things. It's relatively cheap to juice, and it will cure a hangover within an hour. I kid you not. There are people, Tanya Hampton, that can attest to this. And it's also good. I do a lot of hot yoga. It's also good for restoring electrolytes, especially as humid and hot as it's been in South Central PA. So I always strain the juice as it's coming out. The reason is, with a masticating juicer, you will get some chunks, and the first time you drink red beet chunks will be the last time you do it, because it's something you can't even imagine stomaching. And I need all my juices to be very smooth, no pulp kind of thing. So I'll strain it as it's coming out of the juicer. Rinse that off. And then I strain it again when I put it through into a jar, just because there's always an extra little chunk that got by, and you just really don't want to chug chunks. Just remember, like a 80s horror movie or something. So I did, that was 1 cucumber, 2 to 3 handfuls of spinach, and like 4 carrots, and I got about 12 ounces, not quite. I already did some apples, so I'll add probably 4 ounces of apple juice to that, pressed apple juice. And then I will take that to work, and that will be kind of like my morning drink. Again, the reason why you're going to want to drink the juice as opposed to eating it, the juice is convenient. It hits your system immediately. You reap more benefits faster. My nails are growing, my hair is growing, my skin is better, digestion is seamless. There's tons and tons of benefits. Despite the fact, and in addition to, it's very convenient. I have to be on the floor at 6:30. I can't really sit down and eat. I get a half-hour lunch, but that's kind of whatever. That's kind of fly by the pants, and it doesn't always happen. So to sit down and eat 4 carrots, a big cucumber, and a couple handfuls of spinach, you're not going to sit down and eat a big-ass salad in the morning or even at lunch, because you're going to end up putting like ranch or a ton of dressing or whatever else you put on a salad, and then you kind of lose something. Plus then it has to be digested, and you get kind of like Thanksgiving belly after that, and you just want to sleep. So this is easy. You get a lot of vitamins. As far as the pulp, it's very dry, which is a good thing because it means that the juicer got most of the juice out of the vegetable or the fruit. So this is pretty dry, and my dogs are barking because they want to be part of the show. I actually end up adding it to their food because I don't like to waste it. But if you don't have dogs, or your dogs decide that they don't want to eat carrots and cucumbers, you could always compost it, or I don't know what else, throw it in your garden. But I usually don't throw it in the trash just because my dogs are golden retrievers and they'll eat anything. As far as what to juice, if you Google juice recipes, there's tons and tons of resources. Joe the Juicer is one. He did the documentary Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead. Tons of vegetarian and vegan sites will post juice recipes. You don't have to pay for them or buy some kind of ebook or whatever. And if you go to places I've gone to Whole Foods, Pittsburgh Juice Company, and even Giant has the juice blends in the produce aisle. They have to list what's in them, so I can guess. They don't have to say how much of each thing is in them, but you can kind of gauge and just play around and experiment. And that's how I learned, and that's how I come up with most of my juice recipes. I try to keep color families together. This is kind of an army green color because I added carrots, but if I would have done cucumber, celery, spinach, it would be more of a bright green color, more like the cucumber skin. You want to keep color families together the best you can. If I were to do another pound of carrots, this would actually kind of turn brown and murky looking, and it's not visually appealing, so I try not to do that. Even though it would taste fine, when you're looking at it, it looks like liquid mud. You really don't want to drink it. So as far as that, I always use cucumber as a base just because they're relatively cheap and they're mostly water, so you get a whole lot of juice out of this. Celery is another thing that's relatively cheap, and you get a whole lot of water out of it. You really do have to chop celery up though, because it will jam up your juicer in a heartbeat. Anything like that. Root vegetables, you get a medium amount of juice out of, red beet or sweet potato, carrots. You have to use more of the actual vegetable to get the juice, so it's kind of like a complement. The leafy greens you get the least amount of juice out of, but I do still do those just because you get a lot of vitamins, you get a lot of minerals out of the spinach or the kale or spring mix, whatever you're using. I usually do 3 vegetables and a fruit, just because you do want a little, I mean, the cucumber's sweet, but it's not sweet like most people are used to, so I will add either apple or pineapple's an awesome juice to add. Grapefruit, orange, but usually just one fruit, so you don't go overboard with the fruit juices because that's very easy. Watermelon's something I wouldn't add to a green juice just because it has a very distinct flavor, so adding it to a green juice isn't going to, the flavors are going to kind of clash, so watermelon's definitely its own juice by itself, and it's a treat, so you definitely want to keep that by itself. My dog's barking, and she's going to get told. Anyhow, so that was the nutshell of juicing. You can kind of gauge of, it's very simple. For something like this, at first it might take a little bit of time to get used to, but I can knock out a juice in under 10 to 15 minutes and have enough for what I need for tomorrow. So it's not really a time commitment as far as people think. However, I would not do it as early in the morning as I have to do it. So if you have any suggestions of things you'd like to hear or want to talk about or want me to film or have any kind of questions whatsoever, or you hate this video and I need to shut up and sit down, just let me know and I'll see you next time.